When we talk about eviction, we're talking about housing rights. The rights not to be evicted is a fundamental element of the concept and operationalization of the right to adequate housing. So when we speak about evictions, forced evictions, relocation, forced displacement, this is critical and core to UN Habitat. Our responsibilities is to promote the full and progressive realization of the right to adequate housing as formulated in the in the Habitat Agenda and the international instruments. So when we bring about all these experts and organizations to discuss with us what can we do, what are the status of evictions, what are the tools, what are the policies, it is important because it's not a responsibility only of UN Habitat to prevent, to monitor, and to call upon actions for evictions, but it is a role of also civil society organizations and progressive governments that are really concerned with the adverse impacts on the livelihood of people when they are subject to forced evictions. As a UN organization, UN Habitat has no other choice but to apply a rights-based approach to development, recognizing that people have rights, they also have obligations, but they claim a number of rights that are protected in their constitutional frameworks and their laws, and governments have obligations not only to their society, but obligations they have ratified in international instruments and the treaty bodies. So from here to a future, I think UN Habitat, if we want to have a city that is sustainable, that is socially inclusive, we need to address the issue of adequate housing for all, not only for the most poorest sectors of the population. I think the challenge in pursuing a city that does not practice forced evictions is to recognize that there are times where relocation, resettlement are necessary for one reason or another. And we would like that cities, governments, policymakers recognize that it's necessary to follow due process, which means you need to fulfill certain obligations, you need to consult, involve, safeguard that people will have their livelihood protected, and also provide fundamental alternatives so people can rebuild their lives in the best way possible and support their development. This is one issue. The other is to promote all different alternatives for people to access adequate housing. And we're not talking about houses or apartments. We're talking about service land, providing credit, providing finance, opportunities that people and cooperatives can build their own houses, that people can access land in a much more easy and affordable way. So making alternatives available. This is part of the equation of providing alternatives to eviction, but also providing mechanisms that people can realize and fulfill their right to adequate housing.